The first time I was taken to jail, I didn't realize the one that got real nervous was my brother, who I've always been at odds with. Fan Xian is already in court. Aren't you worried, sister? I already know. Why aren't you worried if you know? Aren't you the closest to Fan Xian? Fan Ruoruo's biggest worry is, if we don't find out the results of today's trial, it'll be too late. He's sending Fan Xian to the courthouse to keep watch. If the outcome is not in their favor, he should rush in to save Fan Xian. Sister, I'll be alone. It won't turn out well. I'll go in. Don't worry, I'm prepared. It's a bit hard for him to go in unarmed. Fan Ruoruo took out a sack from her room. Inside is a weapon for him. It suits you. It's good. If it goes against us, I'll go in and cut them down. On the other hand, in the courtroom, the outcome is clear. Sri Sri is a criminal. He didn't leave for the night. The latest drama proves it. He has a perfect alibi. Just when Mei Li was about to rob the case, the prince suddenly came to the court. As long as he's convicted of the crime, he will be able to withdraw from the marriage with the princess. By then, the crown prince will still be in control of the underwear. So he thought Sri Sri was a prostitute. She's a humble girl. The evidence is not enough. When the crown prince said so, he had to ask the magistrates to torture Sri Sri to make him confess. But at that moment, the second prince arrived just in time. He stopped Zilili from being tortured. At that moment, Mei Naoli was also confused. The two princes dodged to the side. He was caught in the middle. He was in a difficult position. The prince's plan didn't work. He had another plan. He sent men to capture Teng Zijing, the assassin who killed Fan Xian. Fan Xian killed him, but he accidentally became his bodyguard. He plans to torture Teng Zijing into confessing. He's going to accuse Fan of deceiving the king. So whether I beat Guobaokuan or not, I'll make sure you're convicted. In honor of your talent, I can spare your life. But don't even think about getting married. Just when things were getting out of hand, Unico came to Tang with a message from His Majesty. Teng Zijing's death, Emperor Qing already knew about it, so it's not a crime of deceiving the emperor. As for the royal children, do not participate in the trial. Tell them to go home, mind your own business. When the prince was about to leave, Fan Xian suddenly stepped forward. He asked the crown prince if he knew about his assassination in Danzhou. Fan was assassinated in Danzhou. I wonder if the prince knows about it. Mr. Mei was brought to the palace by Unico. His Majesty Fan Xian has just left the palace. So Guobaokuan was beaten up for nothing, and from today onwards Fujiko Jin, I'll finally be able to appear in front of everyone. But just then, Versace, who had been waiting at the door, rushed over. The man snatched the candy cane from the child's hand, put it in front of his nose, and smelled it. Then he took a big bite. Give me back my sugar plums. Give me back my candy cane. When the kid saw that such a big man was stealing his candy cane, he started making a scene. Fan Xian couldn't explain. He had to pay him back with his pocket money. The boy took the money and ran away. Fan Xian was left alone. Then he went to Teng Zijing's place. He was now innocent. Fan Xian advised him to cherish his life. Spend more time with his wife and son. Leave Kyoto, this place of trouble. At least my chicken leg girl is still in Kyoto. I'm in no hurry to leave. Then he introduced Fan Xian to his wife and son. But he didn't realize that Fujiko Jin's son Fan Xian had just robbed him of a candy cane. He was the one who stole the candy canes. On the other hand, Meiji followed Unico to see Emperor Qing. At first, he was scared. But Emperor Qing was exceptionally gentle. He even prepared his favorite honey water for him. He also told him some old stories when they first met. Mei Zili held an empty post. It was Emperor Qing who promoted him step by step. They had a good relationship, but just when Mei Zili was relaxing a bit, Emperor Qing suddenly changed his mind. There was a complaint that he was behind the trial. Although Emperor Qing understood that it was difficult for him to deal with the crown prince. But he can't tolerate double-mindedness. Once you've been unfaithful, you can't do it again. Then Emperor Qing tried to scare him. He asked him to read his face to see if I'm approaching the end of my days. Your Majesty, why do you say that? If I die, it's not too late for you to join the Eastern Palace. You'll be the head of 3 dynasties. It would be a good story, Your Majesty. The Plumlee case has been exposed. I have no choice but to ask Emperor Qing to punish me for my crimes. And Emperor Qing is not a heartless man. He won't use the state law to punish an old minister. He'll ask him to submit a report tomorrow. He asked him to submit a petition tomorrow. Let him retire to his hometown and live a peaceful life. Plumlee escaped from death. He can't help but be grateful to Emperor Qing. The strange and unpredictable mind of the emperor. This is the moment when the emperor's mind is revealed to its fullest extent. What Mei Zili didn't know was not long after he left, Emperor Qing sent his men to keep an eye on him. On his way home, he created the illusion of an assassination by robbers. And the story of Fan Xian's beating of Guobaokuan on the street. The rumor spread quickly. When the princess found out, she went to the Empress Dowager. She said Fan Xian was too arrogant and rude. Reason he wanted to use it as a reason to break off his engagement with Lin Waner. But the Empress refused. On the other hand, I don't understand why he questioned the crown prince to his face about the assassination and why it's such a big deal. Fan Xian didn't lie. He just said he wanted to get out of the marriage. The first time Fan Xian robbed a kid's candy cane, his father came looking for him. Why did you steal my son's candy canes? I've explained to you before I didn't rob your son's candy cane. That candy cane was drugged. I was doing it for your son's own good and you bit it. When questioned by Ting Zijing, Fan Xian had no choice but to say. He saw that the candy canes were drugged. He did it to serve a bet. The reason Ting Zijing did it. Because after so many days together Fan Xian has taken good care of him. He's leaving tomorrow with his wife and son. Perhaps he's worried about Fan Xian, but he doesn't feel any joy in his heart. His wife saw it all. He asked Ting Zijing to meet Fan Xian on his own initiative. No matter what he chooses, he and his children will support him. Ting Zijing deliberately used the fact that Fan Xian stole his son's candy cane. Fan Xian was so stupid to leave him alone in Kyoto. He didn't feel at ease, so he decided to stay and be his escort. Saw some warmth in this cold world. He's new here. He needed a helper. So he agreed to Tu Zijin's request. When the brothers sat down, Fan Xian realized Tu Zijin had drugged the candy canes. You drugged your own son because of this? Prince and the second prince were at the court today. The crown prince was there to suppress Fan Xian, to keep him from marrying Lin Wan heir. But the second prince was there to pretend Fan Xian had defected to him, so that the crown prince would make a mistake, so he could reap the benefits. Emperor Qing lamented. Both of his sons were not easy to deal with, so he let them go on. The next day he told Fan Xian his marriage to Lin Wan would be inconvenient. Fan Xian was puzzled. After all the trouble he'd cost, how could Emperor Qing still marry his niece to him? Father, it's just the two of us. Tell me in private. What do you mean, we? Is His Majesty out of his mind? You're so rude. I'm doing this. Why does he have to rush to marry his own niece to me? Why does he have to marry his own niece to me? In a fit of anger, he called his brothers and sisters. He went straight to the royal residence. He plans to marry Miss Chicken Legs first. The rice will be cooked so that Emperor Qing would stop thinking about marriage. But when he arrived at the king's residence, he looked at all the maids, but he still couldn't find his Miss Chicken Legs. The emperor's illegitimate son is looking for Miss Chicken Legs. He gathered all the maids of the Jin Palace together. After checking them one by one, all the women in the house were searched, but there was no sign of his beloved. The reason he did this, he did it because he wanted to withdraw from Lin Wan heir's marriage, but he didn't expect that not only did he beat Guo Baokuan into a mummy, he even publicly stood up to the crown prince, thinking that if things got out of hand, Emperor Qing wouldn't marry his niece to him. But his father told him it's inconvenient for them to marry. He still had to marry Lin Wan heir. But ever since he met Fan Xian, he's decided he's the one he wants to marry. Fan Xian was furious. Fan Xian was furious and decided to go to the king's residence to look for Miss Chicken Legs. He wanted to make the marriage a success, so that Emperor Qi would stop thinking about marriage. But he couldn't find her. King Jing told him. There were many guests that day. Maybe it wasn't one of his maids. What if I went to each one of them? I'm afraid I'll be beaten up. When I left the king's residence, Fan Xian was still determined. He organized his thoughts. Lin Wan was at the center of this. So he asked Fan Ruoro to take him there. He wanted to drive them away. Fan Xian didn't try to explain. He just pretended to look at Lin Gong. He even looked at his face. When Lin Kung saw him pretending, he immediately asked someone to kick him out. Fan Xian didn't argue. He kept counting. When he counted to 3, something strange happened. Lin Kung, who was alive and well a moment ago, suddenly covered his chest and fell to the ground. Fan Xian shouted, if we don't treat him in time, I'm afraid Lin Kung will die soon. Then, Fan Xian took out a pill from the medicine chest and told him to take it. Strangely enough, Lin Kung was cured immediately after taking it. After all these troubles, Lin Kung was convinced of Fan Xian's medical skills. He immediately sent someone to take his pulse to Lin Wan heir. They came to the backyard. Because Lin Wan heir had not yet left the court, Lin Kung put her on a bed. He even closed the curtains. Only Fan Xian was allowed to take her pulse by the bedside. Fan Xian wanted to surprise Lin Wan heir in public, so that Lin Wan heir would hate her. I am Fan Xian. I'm here to see what my daughter-in-law looks like. Just as he was about to make his move, Lin Wan heir suddenly spoke. The sound of her voice shook Fan Xian to his core. Who are you? Whose servant are you?